Hey, Jim, we're really happy to have you here on The View from 32, the 1932 Criterion Theatre podcast. Hope you're doing well. We're really glad to have you here.
I'm doing great, Taylor. Thanks for having me.
Good. We had our first episode last week with Bobby, and it went well. She's great, and we had a lot of fun, and we're really happy that you are taking some time to be here with us. We really appreciate it, and we can't wait to hear what you have to say and hear you play some songs. So, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Good. Have you been trying to stay busy with this whole coronavirus thing going on?
This crazy pandemic. I've actually been as busy as I ever am, and I'm fortunate to have a career and work here at. I'm a scientist at work at the Mount Desert Island Biological Laboratory, and
very nice.
And work has continued. I've been doing a lot of work at home, but a lot of what I can do, fortunately, I can do at home.
Yeah.
Busy with work and playing music as well.
Good. So
just not out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no one is really. It's a crazy time for musicians, especially. So you're a scientist.
Yep.
And you're a musician.
Yep.
So busy guy probably.
Yeah.
Who do you play with around town? Are you a solo? You have a band?
So I'm in a couple of different bands.
Okay.
Right now, the main one is my band from Eden. We actually have a CD that came out in February. So
Awesome.
Band from Eden is me and Russell Snyder and Jeff Walls, a rock trio. And I've been playing with Russell since 2006, and Russell and Jeff have been playing together forever. Jeff's been in the band for I think 3 years now.
Okay,
as
nice.
a bass player. We just made the CD, recorded it here in Bar Harbor, Hungry Goat Studios with John Kurgan as engineer and co-producer. Really happy about it, and got all excited about the release, and we had big plans for playing out and having a couple release party shows in Bar Harbor and Franklin in late March, and that all got canceled. So,
yeah. It's a hard time right now for musicians, and I know that last week when we were chatting with Bobby, she had mentioned that 78,000 musicians are out of work now based on due to COVID, and it's really sad because a lot of these people, they might not get it back. Who knows when we'll be doing live shows again? Hopefully 2021, but. You never know.
Yeah, we're going to have to adapt somehow.
Yeah.
But it's been really hard on musicians and performing artists of all kinds. And, it's terrible.
It is. And you said you've been staying busy, with music and trying to record and write and.
Yes, I've been doing recording at home, and I've actually been collaborating with other musicians online with recording. That's the beauty of modern technology. You can send wave files back and forth and actually put together nice recordings.
Exactly.
So
you a Pro Tools guy?
No, I'm not. I'm a bit of a dinosaur when it comes to technology, so whatever is easy is what I like.
Gotcha.
I recently purchased something called a Spire Studio, which it's a little 8-track thing that makes it real easy to collaborate.
Nice.
And you can just use your iPhone to record.
That's perfect.
With that, and so that's working for me right now.
Cool. Well, obviously, the whole coronavirus thing hasn't affected your creativity too much.
No, in some ways it's stimulated it. I've written some songs during the pandemic, so. Good.
Well, I know I'm anxious to hear some of them, so.
I might play one.
Okay, good. Yeah, we'd love to hear it. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you said you work at the MDI Biological Laboratory.
Yep.
And tell me a little bit about your work, about yourself. What are you up to?
So I'm a developmental biologist. I've been doing this for over 20. So I got my Ph.D. in 1990. So what's that? 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's a long time. I've been on MDI at the biolab since 2005.
Okay.
As a developmental biologist, I'm interested in how things come to be, how we each come to be from a single cell, and how that whole process unfolds, and how it's regulated by genes, and how it's affected by the environment. And
Gotcha.
That's what I've been studying for a long time. For a long time, I was working with sea urchin embryos as kind of a model organism.
Okay.
They're very accessible and relatively simple, yet they do things in a lot of the same ways that in development that we do. So we can learn a lot about just basic developmental processes.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you landed on sea urchins. Is it?
Well, in graduate school, and they've been a model organism for embryogenesis, early development, really since the field began in the late 19th century. So I was involved in the sea urchin genome project when I first came here, and sequencing of West Coast sea urchin genome. About 5 or 6 years ago, I switched model organisms to zebrafish to study what we're working on now, which is a really interesting project, which is looking at how early life stress, chronic stress in very early life and early development affects physiology and kind of susceptibility to disease.
Okay, so when you say early life, you're talking like infants, toddlers, or more adolescent years?
Yes, that and even earlier, even in utero.
Okay.
As during embryonic and fetal development.
Oh wow!
So if you have a mother who's chronically stressed, who's got really adverse circumstances, and that can actually affect development.
Oh wow!
And the way that one way that it can affect development is through there's a stress hormone. We think of it as a stress hormone. It's actually more than that, called cortisol, which you've probably heard of.
Yes.
And when you're chronically stressed, if you have high levels of stress or trauma, your cortisol levels go up.
Right.
And it's a steroid, so it's biologically active, and it will go through the placenta into the uterus and affect development. And we don't really understand how it's affecting development, but what we do know from the epidemiology is that people who were whose mother might have been chronically stressed when she was pregnant, say mothers in war zones, for example.
Right.
They grow up and they tend to be more susceptible to a lot of diseases that
I was going to ask what have you found, from that early stress? Is there anything that, comes forward disease-wise in an adult?
There's a whole wide range of diseases that are associated with that, and a lot of them are diseases of kind of inflammation.
Okay.
Things ranging from asthma to metabolic diseases like diabetes.
Okay, so more like underlying chronic diseases.
Chronic diseases.
Yeah.
Things that a lot of them manifest later in life as you get older. And so the diseases of aging, degenerative diseases, things like Alzheimer's. And another thing that is very commonly associated with these early life stressors is mental illness, the things like major depression.
Right, which is, a major problem right now.
Yeah. And the scary thing is some of these things can get passed through generations, multiple generations. Yeah. So your grandmother or grandparents might have had a lot of stress, and then epigenetic, that can cause epigenetic changes that affect the health of multiple generations.
Yeah.
So we know that that's the case, but we don't understand how it works, and that's where our research comes in. So we're using zebrafish as a kind of a model organism to try and get at what are the genes that are mediating these effects, and how are they doing it. Ultimately, you might be able to design interventions. Although I got to say, we already know what some of the good interventions are that will kind of remediate these.
That was going to be my next question. Do you have anything, any advice for somebody to try and keep stress levels down? I know I've heard, make sure you get enough sleep, make sure that you, are eating the right foods. But is there anything that in your research that you found would, help?
Our research is really kind of getting at the mechanisms. We're trying to understand how it works, but we already know from just studies that have already been done by others that one of the best ways to mitigate the unhealthy effects of this chronic stress is through strong social support. So family support,
So coronavirus isn't great for that.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Social support is like the antidote to psychosocial stress. Strong social support networks, and which is, when you think about it, those things are going away too.
Right.
So
That's true.
a lot of the psychosocial stress is just from uncertainty and not having the support you need.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then you get on, you're sitting in your house trying to, stay safe, and you're scrolling social media, seeing all this garbage, and you can't get away from it. And honestly, that's probably worse than sitting in the quiet.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. I think Facebook has become a kind of a toxic place.
Oh, it totally has, and it's too bad because it is a great way to connect with people that you may have went to college with, or.
Absolutely. That's why I'm still on it. I've got friends that I lost touch with that I've reconnected with.
It's a really cool thing, but like you said, it's just you can't scroll 2 or 3 posts without seeing something that is just.
And I got to say, I'm guilty of venting on Facebook.
Hey, it happens, It happens. It's there. It's easy. And especially now because everyone's in lockdown, you got more time to think and more time to talk about stuff. But
I would say another thing that I've found just from personal experience is what best stress mitigator is music. And
I agree.
Music is good medicine for a lot of things.
It really is.
So that's one of the things that I do.
It really is. Yeah, I know. I lean more towards the introverted side of things, where
I can relate.
A party, I'm usually in the corner, like on my phone.
Well, when this whole thing started, it in some ways it didn't bother me.
Yeah, it's like I've been social distancing for 30 years, so it's fine. Yeah, I totally get it. But that's really interesting, and it must be a really fun career to be in, to be learning things about humans and stress levels.
It is. I love research. It's we're learning new things, and that's the thing about science. It never ends.
Right. Totally.
Every time you answer a question in science, it raises new questions. So science. There's a book that I like to promote. It's written by a guy named Stuart Firestein, who's I believe at Columbia. He's a neuroscientist.
Okay.
And an improv actor, actually.
Oh,
That's
wow.
how he started his career.
All right.
But he wrote this little book called Ignorance, How It Drives Science. And the whole point of it is, people think science is all about accumulating knowledge, as if there's a body of knowledge that someday we will know everything. And that's just not possible.
No, it is not.
And actually, his point is that science is all about addressing ignorance and embracing ignorance, but then refining it. So every time you have a question, you address that question, and science allows you to find out something to answer it, but then that raises new questions. So
exactly.
It's an ever-branching.
It's true. You find the answer to one question, then you have 3 more.
That's right, and they're more refined. You know something more. You have a deeper insight into nature, but then that raises new questions that take you even deeper.
Yeah, well, so it blows my mind because I'm not a super smart guy, and you look at the research that's already been done by the generation now and the previous generations. It's amazing what we've discovered.
Yeah.
And I see these intricate details of the human body, and it's like I don't even know how these people find this stuff out. But I mean, you're on the front line of this research, and it's just really cool to hear what you're working on.
Yeah, the way that we do is through technology. So science depends on technology, and the technology is just getting so amazing now with computers. I'll tell you what gives me hope for the future, because sometimes it's hard to come by, but we have students, undergraduate and even high school students, coming to the lab every summer. And this summer we had to cancel our summer program on site, but we were able to carry it on because through remote research. And so we have a cohort of students. I was just on a Zoom this morning with them, and they're working with this huge amount of data that we've produced.
That's so cool.
In the past, which we haven't adequately analyzed. And these kids are so smart. I mean, they're a lot smarter than I am, and so and they're getting better all the time. And this is how I feel every summer with our students is, okay, we're in good hands as long as we can provide these opportunities.
Exactly.
And so forth. So.
Well, that's really cool. Now, I don't personally know too many scientists, to be honest with you. How does being a scientist correlate with music? Are there many scientists who are musicians, or Are you kind of a rare find?
No, actually, you'd be amazed that there are a lot of scientists who are musicians
Okay.
or scientists and artists.
Okay. Way to deal with the stress.
Yeah. I'll give you a very famous example. Francis Collins is the director of the National Institutes of Health.
Okay.
And he's a musician. He's a guitar player and singer.
All right.
Pretty accomplished. And so, yeah. And I've got an old friend who I went to graduate school with. I went to graduate school at Duke, and my friend Kurt Steger, who's at Paul Smith's College, a professor at Paul Smith's College in New York, is a musician, and he and I played music together when we were in graduate school.
That's so cool.
And he kind of combines his music and his science.
So, in terms of approaching it, because when I'm writing or recording, I kind of approach it from more of a creativity standpoint, but some musicians approach it from a mathematical standpoint, and it's very, it's kind of like a formula. Do you approach it one way or another, or is it just a really nice creative outlet for you?
I do both.
Yeah.
I've got a kind of an analytical mind, and
Sure.
and so, a lot of it's intuitive, and I work with what I have. I'm not a classically trained musician.
Sure.
Although I did, start early in the school system, so I got to give a shout out to school music programs. Which,
Oh, absolutely.
And that's one of the beautiful things about being on MDI. It's such a great program here.
There
at the
is.
high school and also in the grade schools.
There is.
so
Yeah,
forth.
I came up in middle school and high school here, and graduated from MDI high school, and there's really great opportunities for kids that want to get involved with music, that don't exist in other places, and we're really fortunate.
We are. So I approach it in both ways. I have things. So some of my songs actually deal with science and the lyrics that I put it in, and then the analytical side is I really like odd rhythms, odd time signatures, and so forth. So it all goes back to, at least I got that foundation when I was coming up through school. I know enough music theory that I can approach it from that analytical side, and then combine it with just the more creative aspect of whatever's inspiring me at the time.
Exactly. Cool. Is there anything that you've got that you're looking forward to in this year or next year? You got anything on the horizon in terms of what you want to do? I know you have your CD with your band. Any launch parties or delayed launch parties, I guess, at this point?
Oh, gosh. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the band from Eden we're starting to play out a little bit. We're not playing indoors, but there are outdoor gigs that we can play.
Any coming up that you can give a shout out to so people can come see you?
There's one coming up in Franklin, Maine, on the 29th, I believe, is a Saturday.
Okay.
It's going to be from 4 to 8. So there's a place we've been playing for a long time in Franklin called the Franklin Veterans Club.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And we've been playing there. We were kind of the house band there for a few years, starting back in, I think we started playing there in 2013. And then we were doing an open mic, and then that's where we were going to have our CD release in March, and then that got canceled. But now they're going to be doing some outdoor stuff.
Awesome.
And so we'll be there on the 29th.
Awesome. So people can come see you there.
Yeah. We would love to do something live on Facebook at some point.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, let's chat after this, because we're gonna do some live. We're gonna set the whole stage up like a concert and do a full-on live production, shoot it with our camera package, and stream it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, do all that. So yeah, let's chat, because you could be our debut live performance.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Oh man, we'd love that.
Cool. How long have you been doing shows? How long have you been playing out? I know you've been playing music for a long time, but have you been doing it professionally, quote unquote, professionally for a while?
Yeah, I have. Most of my life. I would say my first professional gig was when I was in high school. So I lived in Switzerland for a couple years.
Oh, wow.
So I've been around.
Okay.
And so I moved to Switzerland in 1974 with my family. I was there for 2 years in outside of Zurich, and I played in So I'm a trombone player is my first instrument.
Okay.
That's what I played in school
Very
bands
nice.
and stuff. My dad was a trombone player, so he even started me out before I started in school. So when I was in Adlerswil, Switzerland, was the town I lived in, there was a band called the Jungenspiel, which was like the youth band, and we were like
Okay.
a town band, and we played in local festivals and stuff. Well, there was a little offshoot of that band with the director had, which was kind of a jazz Dixieland polka band.
Okay.
And we actually drove around Switzerland, went to little beer gardens and stuff up in
Nice.
the Alps, and played, and they'd put us up and feed us. And
Not many people can say that they've done that.
No,
That's pretty
it was
cool.
awesome. So that was my first professional.
All right. I love it.
And
That's
then,
cool.
And then I started playing mandolin when I was 15, and self-taught on that. And then when I was in college, I started playing with bands and doing
Nice.
gigs and stuff.
So who are if you had to, give one or a couple, who are your influences musically? Who do you love? Who do you get inspired by?
There's a lot.
Yeah.
On mandolin, I would say Sam Bush and the Newgrass Revival was
Okay.
a big influence. David Grisman. In high school I was really into rock and roll and prog rock. Yes.
Yeah.
I love classical music,
Mm-hmm.
jazz. So there are a lot
Yeah.
of influences.
Okay.
I think Chris Thiele is
Yeah, Nickel Creek.
Nickel Creek and the Punch Brothers.
Yeah. Chris Steele is
Chris
a
Thiele
wizard on that thing.
is amazing. He's otherworldly.
Yeah, I've seen videos on YouTube of him as a little kid sitting around with some seasoned older mandolin players, and he's just smoking them on the mandolin, and it's like blowing their minds. It's really
I have a
cool
Chris
video.
Thiele story. So I've been fortunate in my life to come run across a lot of my musical heroes.
Yeah,
and,
that's
and,
so cool.
And been lucky to meet them and stuff. So. If you want to hear the story, I can tell you.
Yes, absolutely.
So in 1990, I moved, after I got my Ph.D. from Duke, I did a postdoc at Caltech in Pasadena. So I moved from North Carolina to Pasadena, and I'd been there a few months, and I went to a bluegrass festival in the fall of 1990 called the Follows Camp Bluegrass Festival. It's up in the mountains outside of L.A. Mm-hmm. It's an old gold mining camp, and they used to have 2 festivals a year. This was the fall festival, and I went because I used to do that a lot back in the day, and met up with some friends. I was jamming, and they had a mandolin contest, and so I said, "Okay, I'm going to enter the mandolin contest." And I'd been up all night jamming and partying, and I dragged myself up on the stage and played my set, and then I went back to my van and crashed. and some friends came and knocked on the van a little later and said, hey, Jim, you got second place.
Nice.
And this was the second place in the advanced mandolin. And I said, oh, cool. Who won? And I said, some 9-year-old kid. And I said, well,
it was that kid, wasn't it?
And then I didn't think about it for years. And then, just a few years ago, I was reading about Chris Thiele and what he did as a kid. And he used to go to all these bluegrass festivals that had contests and win the mandolin competitions when he was a little kid. And then I saw a picture of, he was at the very festival because I wasn't there. I didn't see him play.
Sure.
So it was him. I took second place to Chris Thiele. That
is actually a really cool story.
So I saw the Punch Brothers 2 years ago when they played at the State Theatre in Portland, and Laura, my partner, got us VIP tickets so we could go in before and do a Q&A and do a private kind of a show with the band. And so I asked him if that was him, and he said, yeah, that was probably me.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah.
I was going to say, in the early 90s, Chris must have been what?
He was 9 years old.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah. Wow. All right. I was going to ask if you had any crazy
so I
tour
have a plaque
stories.
on my wall, second place advanced mandolin Follows Camp 1990. And
all right.
Next to it, I have a picture of the Punch Brothers.
That's so cool. Yeah. I was going to ask if you had any crazy tour stories. That's a good one.
And the other thing that the Punch Brothers said that when we were talking to him, they said, well, that's where they kind of met up. Gabe Wichter, the fiddle player, and Chris. And they've been playing together since they were kids.
Yeah, man, small world.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, that's cool. Any final thoughts? Any other things that you wanna say? Anything? Any website links or shout outs you want to do? We'll stick all this in the description of the video, where people can grab the CD. And
so Band from Eden, you go on the web. We have bandfromeden.com is our
Okay.
website. We're also on Facebook. You can look
Awesome.
us up. Another band I've played with for a number of years here is the Blake Rosso Band. We've actually played here on stage
Oh,
at the
cool.
Criterion. We opened up for Ghost of Paul Revere a couple times.
Nice.
And we had our own CD release, I think 2 years ago.
okay, well we'll
and,
link that too so people can check it out.
Yeah, and the Blake Rosso Band has a website. We're kind of on hiatus right now.
Sure.
Everyone's doing different things.
Yeah.
Brittany Parker's in that band, and she, B. Parks.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Hornets is her band, but she's down in Rockland. But the COVID kind of
Yeah, it's
made it really tough.
It is making
we
it
don't really
tough.
have anything happening right now with the Blake Rosso Band.
yeah. Well,
Hopefully in the future things are gonna.
yeah, we can hope so.
Get better.
We can hope so. We're really wanting to start booking for some 2021 stuff, but again, nobody really knows what's going on. So,
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty.
yep, strange times we're living
Very
in.
stressful.
It is. Yes. Anything we can do to mitigate that would be good.
Yeah.
So, Jim, thank you so much for being with us. We're gonna dip out for a second, have you
Okay.
play a few songs, and
Great.
really glad to have you here.
Thanks, Taylor.
Thanks.
All right, here we go. Ode to a Sea Lily. When you came into this world, you turned mine upside down. A princess of a girl, I saw you crown. And from that moment on, life would never be the same. With a wonder like you, giving light to the flame. And in my mind, I see you dancing, whirling and twirling around the room to the fiddle and the mandolin. And in my heart, I feel your passion for all the creatures and the fairies and the flowers in bloom, all the outsiders looking in. Through the years I watched you grow into a woman from a girl. And now you're on your own, out in the big wild world. More warrior than princess, more blue than pink. Taking the devil by the horns, just what this weary world needs. And in my mind, I still see you dancing, whirling and twirling around the room to the fiddle and the mandolin. And in my heart, I feel your passion for all the creatures and the fairies and the flowers in bloom, all the outsiders looking in. All right. It's called Dystopia Blues. This is my newest effort. Living in dystopia, we all must be insane. Decades of myopia have built the world of pain. Facing catastrophe, alive without a brain. So goodbye cornucopia, going down the drain. It's got me singing those dystopia blues about all the things that we're going to lose and all the shit that's in the news. Living in dystopia, we all must be insane. Decades of myopia have built the world of pain. Facing catastrophe, alive without a brain. So goodbye cornucopia, going down the drain. It's got me singing those dystopia blues about all the things that we're going to lose and all the shit that's in the news. Dystopia Blues. All right, ready?
Yes, sir.
Bird Song and Sunshine. Woke up this morning feeling fine. Grooving on the bird song and sunshine. Breathing in the air now, I'm leaving all my weary cares behind. As the world keeps on turning, I'll just try to keep learning and be kind. Watching as dark clouds roll on by. try to keep learning and be kind. Looking out my window at the sky, watching as dark clouds roll on by. I leave all the heavy dread behind. As the world keeps on turning, I'll just try to keep learning and be kind.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to The View from 32, Criterion Theatre's webcast. We think it's going swimmingly. How about you? I'm Chuck, and I'm here to bring another segment of poetry to us. And some people might say, why poetry? Well, I would say, why not? It's a beautiful written form, and it's concise, and I think just the act of trying to get down to the right word and the right meter and the right intention is it's just so much a stricter form than long form novel or short story, and I just really, as I explore it and get deeper and deeper into the world of poetry, because I'll be honest, I'm not a deep scholar in that. I don't know that I could even claim to be an aficionado, but I do like it. And there are some that I truly enjoy and keep in my head all the time as words of comfort and words of strength and as a way to express sorrow. And so today I've chosen a poem by Rudyard Kipling, who many of you must be aware of, a prolific novelist, a prolific short story writer, and a prolific poet. Some of his work you probably know is The Jungle Book as a novel. One of his real very, very popular short stories was Gunga Din. And it just goes on. He's extremely prolific gentleman. He lived from December of 1865 to January of 1936. So well into his mid-70s when he passed. And I thought I would bring you this one. This is definitely one of my favorites of his. It's simply titled, If. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise, if you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it all on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, Yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. That's the poem If by Rudyard Kipling. So I want to thank you for joining with me on this little journey. I really look forward to diving deep. I'm going to go and sort of sketch along with some of the more well-known and some obvious poems, perhaps, to those who are further along this journey than I. But trust me, I'm going to dig very deeply into this world. There's just an amazing universe of poetry out there, and we really hope to bring you to some of that. So I'll take off my reading spectacles because I'm done with them. And I hope to see you all soon. Enjoy our view from 32. Thank you.